Take two.
There you go.
Right? All right, so we are here with our great friend Rob, who we first met in Hout Bay just over a year ago while we were sequestered there for like 2 months trying to figure out our brand new boat. Meanwhile, you were on the legs of finishing a circumnavigation.
Yeah.
So how did you get into sailing?
I guess a bad vacation, or I don't know, it wasn't a bad vacation. It was a great vacation, but just kind of surprise vacation. Booked a trip through one of the charter companies. Did a 7-day sail from St. Lucia down to Grenada, and I was hooked. So I'd never really done much sailing. I went back. I was living in Indiana at the time, and then went back to Indiana, bought a small day sailor, and day sailed it a little bit, a 20-footer, and then upgraded to a J24 and sailed that for a couple decades, and then upgraded to my first liveaboard, so a Bavaria 39.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so you buy a boat. How did you learn how to sail?
Trial and error, listening to people, so getting out there doing it. So yeah, reading a lot of books. That was the day before, YouTube University and everything. So it was a lot of books and a lot of trial and error and mistakes, and swamped the boat once or twice and that kind of thing. So
that's one way to learn.
There's one way to learn. So
learn lessons the hard way.
So then what then made you decide that you're going to go around the world?
I don't think going around the world was kind of like a side thing. It was more just a friend of mine, whenever like I said, I hatched it years ago, and just before I moved on to my first liveaboard, a friend asked me, like, well, where were you going to go? And my answer was everywhere. So it was more just it's a way to explore, a way to get places and have a hotel without having to buy flights and hotels everywhere.
Yeah.
But, as the saying goes, sailing is the most expensive way to get anywhere for free. So, yeah.
Good Lord, that's true.
Yeah.
But you get to come to beautiful places like this. Guadeloupe is where we're at currently. And yeah, you see all these kind of beautiful things.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been easy, but for me, it's been worth it.
Yeah,
I would say, it's, a lot of people look at it like a lot of the YouTube you see is like the easy stuff, and we're in a beautiful place, and we went snorkeling today, and we were just running around on the dinghy, and but there's the chasing down a part to fix today also, and it got one part fixed and the other part broke, so it's it just never ends. Something to do, something to fix.
What's been your most rewarding experience?
I don't know, I can say single experience. I will say a good friend of mine, while I was in France earlier this year, asked me, I guess more what was my favorite thing that I had from sailing. Immediately my head went through all the little trinkets you collect along the way, but the answer came up really quicker than that, was the people I've met. I've got friends around the world, the local people I've met in local places, whether it was, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, the gifts I've gotten from them and the things I've brought to them. And like I said, I got friends around the world now. Like New Year's or Christmas and New Year's it's a never-ending message between the ones that are waking up and we're still going to sleep, and it's all awesome. They're all around the world in the time zones.
I mean, I think for us that's kind of been the same. It's the people you meet, because like I said when I prefaced the intro, that's how we met you.
Yeah.
And now we are at
this is our sixth country, right?
Yeah, I think it's
because
6.
Guadeloupe.
Are we 6 now?
That's really cool.
And that count's going to keep going higher.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully, So we're both headed to Europe next year. So
yeah, exactly.
Sure the paths will cross.
The scariest moment?
Scariest moment. In Papua New Guinea, somebody tried to board the boat at night.
Yeah.
Which I know you guys had a boat boarding.
But ours was teenagers.
Yours was teenagers. I never got an eye on it. I'm pretty sure it was an adult. The footprints that were left on the deck were bigger footprints. But I was also relatively ready for it. Papua New Guinea is not really considered a safe place.
Right.
So, we had the dinghy block and the sugar scoop, so they couldn't climb the sugar scoop. They had to climb over the side. And then I had alarms in the cockpit.
Yeah.
So alarms went off, and the companionway was all locked, so they couldn't just storm down the companionway either. So once the alarms went off, and I started running down the deck butt naked, so screaming at them, they jumped off the boat. So,
That would have probably scared somebody.
Yeah, that probably scared white boy, white boy running down the deck. What is that?
Tell us about your boat.
It's a 2008 Hunter 49. I'm the second owner. So I bought it right after, in January of 2018, my Bavaria was damaged in Hurricane Irma at the end of 2017. I've been on it for the last almost 7 years. I guess just over 7 years.
And you have it listed for sale.
I have it listed for sale.
What's going on?
So, well, I mean, it's a good boat. There's a saying in the boating world. There's a lot of sayings in the boating world, but the one is the two happiest days in boat ownership are the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Yes.
And honestly, for me, it's like you say, it's a part of the family.
Yeah,
it's a piece of me, and it's the longest I've ever lived in one residence. So I've had a residence that I was in and out of a couple of times, but full time in this residence. So, and she got me all the way around the world.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, I can totally relate to that because, and you too, to some extent, growing up military, and then being in the military for so long. Every 3-4 years you're moving somewhere. You're changing. Whereas now we still do that, but at least our house comes with us.
Yeah.
And that's
the same residence, same bed, the same kitchen.
Yeah. All your creature comforts, your amenities. Just as if the location might change, but your comfort zone is still.
Your yard's just a lot bigger.
The yard's just a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing is you're traveling with your house, so you never have to think about, well, do I pack this bathing suit? Do I pack this outfit? You have everything.
Yeah.
And what you don't have, you just don't have.
You don't have, And you find out how much you don't need.
Yeah.
The term between want and need really redefines itself.
So if you were to sell it, what would you want to do next?
I don't know. The world's a little bit open on that. There's a little piece that says it might be coming time to do something different and live on a boat. Not to say I won't return to it, but there are still some, sailing things I want to do. One of the ideas is to buy a more hardy boat, something along the lines of aluminum. The exploring won't stop.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty well ingrained in the nomadic life. What exactly straight? And that's kind of part of the pleasure of it. Is the same thing as you never know. It's like you guys asking me earlier today, are you going to be here tomorrow? Well, I'm going to be here tomorrow, but I don't know about the next day. But
I know.
As it changed, my cushions are all gone. I got to be here tomorrow at least to figure out what's going on with those. So another day I'm going to be here.
All those travels, obviously you had crew for many portions of that. What are your criteria that you find most important after having done this for so long with finding crew?
Finding crew, I typically use a website, findacrew.com, as a crew seekers. I did some Facebook stuff earlier, but I've kind of moved on from that. Criteria is always kind of moving, so read their profile, try to get a vibe on their profile, what they're putting out there, what information they have, what they're looking for. And then obviously a video conference with them. Once you get through that first exchange, you exchange exactly what are you looking for, this is what I'm offering, these are what kind of details, kind of like you do in online dating. You exchange a couple of messages and then you have a video chat. And you just try to get a good vibe on it, and I think one of the big things, there are certain criteria, like I don't generally take vegetarians. This just gets hard to deal with a single diet on the boat, especially whenever you're off at sea for a long period. And to try to find out what people's expectations are, what they're thinking. As we learned just the other day, unexpressed expectations are the root of all disappointments. What does somebody else think? What does somebody else expect? This is what I expect of you. And try to get to that details and find a vibe that there's somebody that wants to work together, that there's somebody who doesn't. Overall, I've had really good crew. I've had a couple that I've had some personalities I didn't really like, but they were still decent crew, still a good crew. There's only one person I had to kick off that they wanted to be captain.
We obviously had a horrible experience with our crew. Then when we left from Hampton to go to Bermuda to St. Martin. We, we're like, okay, let's stick our toes back in this. But I think we did much better.
I think we did better.
It's kind of restored our faith in a sense. And finding the right people. And I think what you just said about attitude, I think is probably the biggest thing.
It is.
But the recent experience that we had is our crew didn't have that much sailing experience, but they still turned out to, I think, be very good crew. And then for us, insurance dictates a lot because they have certain requirements, but once we did that passage from the U.S. to Bermuda, they were like, oh, this part of your crew is good to go. You don't need anybody else.
I don't put experience, not necessary,
Yeah.
really. With my boat and the way I sail it, I'm a pretty lazy sailor. The autopilot does 90% of the driving.
Oh yeah.
And so
More for us.
whenever you're on watch, it's generally, I leave numbers for them to watch. This is the wind speeds that you want. These are the wind angles you want. This is the boat speeds you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get up and check the radar every 10 or 15 minutes. Make sure there's not a squall coming in.
Yeah.
So those simple little things, and if there is a problem, then wake me up until they start to learn it and start to figure things out and can make adjustments.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
No, that's good.
and some people get it faster than other people. So
That brings up a good point, is that at some point in time, you just got to do it. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of people that we've met,
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, with this, and I got to wait for that. And I think you got to do it. But I get it. Life gets in the way, which kind of is my long-winded lead into the next question is, how do you afford it?
how do I afford it? I try to watch my budget.
Yeah.
I saved a lot whenever I was growing up. Things between wants and needs. What do I need? What do you need? Food, shelter. Do I need a new shirt? No. Do I need do I need a new paddleboard? No. So those things.
Yeah.
So try to limit the difference between needs and wants. Do I need to be in a marina? Do I need to be on a mooring balk and my anchor just work just as good? Just try to limit those things. Everybody does it at a different budget, a lot of times, I've gotten the question is, how much does it cost? I'm sure you guys get the same question. Well, how much does it cost?
We do.
And you can do it financially at any level you want to, from a little boat and, just scruffing by, like you're staying in hostels and stuff. Or you can have, fancy yachts that are sitting here behind us. What the cost that nobody really talks about is the cost of family and things like that. You're gone. You gave my family for Christmas, all right, for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
So
We love that.
your grandkids, your kids, your nephews, and things like that that you don't see for years, and those kind of times. The friends that you make that are good friends that you're gonna it's going to be 2 years before you see them again, hopefully somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
But you're going to see them again somewhere else in the world.
How have you handled family emergencies? A lot of logistics to get back to the States.
I don't have much of family left. Parents are gone, so I only have a sister. And just some of those things again, that's one of those costs is, I was in I was unofficially checked in and staying in Madagascar whenever my aunt passed away.
Yeah.
So, can't get from Madagascar to East Texas, so it's a long, long road. It was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, it's just some of those things are the cost of doing it that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
It is tricky. It is tricky being apart from family.
It is.
I know the first Christmas, I really struggled. We put up Christmas decorations with our kids, and I was like,
I know. Yeah.
Even though they're a pill half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birds. We still
But
love you.
yeah,
We
they
still
do.
love you.
Yeah, we love you kids.
Other things that I think most people take for granted, like how do you do healthcare, as you've gone around the world?
I have international insurance. Yeah, you just got to find fortunately, I've been lucky in that department. I haven't had to do much in that kind of thing. It's like any emergency anywhere. You got to find a doctor.
Yeah.
I had a crew that did have a dental emergency in Becqua. And you got to wait. The doctor's not going to be here until Thursday
Yeah.
Yeah.
at 10 o'clock. Oh, he missed the 9 o'clock ferry. He won't be here till 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I think that's a huge mental adjustment in terms of how you view time.
yeah.
And that people always joke about island time, but it's
It's a real thing. Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think just here ashore, there's those row of buildings, and I know there's a veterinarian, and I think there's supposed to be a
dentist. Yeah.
And we've been ashore here every day for this past week that we've been here, and I've yet to see
The doors open.
Doors open.
We're like, when is this dentist here? 'Cause
Yeah.
we could use
Yeah.
a dental visit.
There's a lot of people who struggle every day. Whether it's their fault of their own or just their situation or whatever it is, families. I've been very lucky in that respect. In that life has really given me back a lot more. Between my previous career and being able to do this and being able to adjust to it, the experiences I've had throughout life, all of it is a lot more effort than I've put in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm lucky in that situation. Again, like I said, it's not easy, but for me, it's been worth it.
Yeah.
And I've had other people on board that it wasn't worth it for them.
Yeah.
They go.
Each their own.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would you recommend to folks considering this lifestyle?
This lifestyle or whatever lifestyle it may be, that whatever your dream may be, like Dennis said a minute ago, is just go do it. Go with open eyes. Realize again, it's not easy, but it's worth it. Whatever your life dream is, you just never know when the last is, and that was one of the things that really moved me on it. Was I was about 45, and I had a couple of really good, healthy friends that got sick, and one of them dropped dead of a heart attack at 45 years old, and another one got sick and withered away. And these were strong, healthy guys, and you just don't know. And one of the sayings that I heard: "Live every day as though it's your last day, because one day you'll be right."
Yeah.
So.
Chills. Even though I knew it was coming.
Yeah. No, and I think another thing I love about what you're doing, especially with the crew piece, you mentioned the age range, but like, for example, your current crew member, Camille, she's 22.
22.
And I think we were talking about this, it's amazing that she's finding herself at such a young age. And going out and exploring and seeking these things.
Seeking the world out and things like that is, other kids I wish I had done that whenever I was, 20, taking that year and just, you can go back to work later in life. Work's never going away.
Yeah,
there's plenty of time to work. Take the chance, see the world, realize that it's bigger than your little bubble. How little your bubble is. Whatever your dream is, go for it. Go tackle it. I mean, that's, I guess, the only thing I'm going to take away is hopefully to be an inspiration through what pictures I take and post online and things like that.
Yeah.
That hopefully it inspires people to go chase their dream.
Yeah.
You have an amazing eye for photography. We'll definitely put a link in our description.
Oh my gosh, yes. You need to do that.
Please support Rob and his photography. It is absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All the adventures we've shared.
I know.
Land adventures. You didn't even touch on Burning.
Oh yeah, Burning Man. Because you're the reason we went to Burning Man.
Right,
And the fact that our boat was on the hard, and I was like, well, Burning Man or in-laws? It was a pretty easy choice. No offense to your parents, they're awesome.
No, I would have argued for Burning Man
regardless of where our boat was.
I wanted to go for years, decades also, and this is between careers and being other side of the world or whatever it was. This was the first year I went like all the stars are going to align.
I think somebody asked us not too long ago, was Burning Man a life-changing or life experience?
Yeah.
And I think the three of us were like life-changing.
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 For
Absolutely.
me, it was.
How was it life-changing for you?
I think for me, just to know that you can find that kind of acceptance, that kind of love. Everybody, no matter what your thing is like there's so many, so much misinformation about what Burning Man is. The thing is it's whatever you want it to be.
It is.
Right.
If you want it to be a sex and drug fueled, orgy fest, you can make it that.
Yeah.
But if you want to take your, 6 and 10 and 12-year-old kids, there's that section for it too.
Yeah.
Life-changing for you?
Very much exactly what you said. In terms of what I liked was just kind of that freedom from responsibility in a way. Like you said, you can make it what you want, and you can have all those different new experiences where you kind of feel unencumbered.
Yeah,
in a sense.
like you said, there's so much more, so many classes to learn personal interactions, personal connections. How do you have a little deeper conversation with somebody? Go beyond the first level conversations and how to have the second level conversations.
What was life changing for you?
I think really those open heart sessions, and it really, we were having struggles being on a boat together, day after day when we weren't having work and commutes keeping us apart. Now suddenly we're together like all the time trying to figure it out, and I think it's really got us to dive deeper within ourselves and figure out our communication, and I think it's really saved our relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We'll get a room. But I would definitely do Burning Man again.
Yeah.
I would go again also, but I don't, like I said, it's not next year,
Right.
unless
Yeah.
something free. I'm not going to say I wouldn't if something happened to go again, but there's just still so many other things in this world
For sure.
that I want to see.
The floor is yours for any parting thoughts.
Go do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
go do it. In the words of Lance Armstrong, just do it.
That's
Whatever.
right.
So you never know when it's going to happen. When the last chance is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
Rob,
you.
Thank you
and
guys.
we
Again,
can't wait for that
coming
seventh
over.
country.